Tinubu receives new envoys from Burundi, Philippines and Kenya, calls for synergy and stronger coordinated action to address economic frailties within African nations. 1 year of the administration of President Bola Tinubu incite dialogue on consolidating the gains already made.
For the sake of our nation, we have in place the renewed Hub Infrastructure Development Fund to further facilitate effective infrastructure development.
Minister of Women Affairs and Speaker Niger State Assembly find a common ground for empowerment of 100 orphans, earlier proposed for mass wedding.
Expected there is a communication gap. And even that you people meet, two of you met and discussed, I believe Minister will give her own contribution.
This is the Network News. We thank you for joining us. I am Lami Ali. Reading with me tonight from Lagos is Adeola Komiakere, while Benny Adams will fill us in with the latest news from the world of business. Remember, this program is being live streamed on nta.ng/live and on other social media platforms of the NTA displayed on your screen. Now, President Bola Tinubu has called for synergy and stronger coordinated action to address economic frailties within African nations. President Tinubu made the call as he received letters of credence by some newly appointed ambassadors to Nigeria. State House correspondent Musbah Wahab reports that the newly deployed envoys are Edward Nduwimana from Burundi, Mesol Melejo from Philippines, and Isaac Parashina from Kenya.
In separate meetings with each ambassador, President Tinubu emphasized that Nigeria values the warm and brotherly relations with their respective countries and remains a steadfast partner in promoting democratic values and economic opportunities that benefit citizens of all partner nations. In his meeting with the Philippines ambassador, the president said Nigeria has embarked on a bold initiative to expand its natural gas production to meet domestic needs and increase exports. He encouraged the representative of a Southeast Asian nation to attract investors from his country to explore opportunities in Nigeria. Ambassador Meleo acknowledged Nigeria's leadership role and strategic position in Africa as the continent's largest economy, population and democracy. In his meeting with the Burundian ambassador, President Tinubu addressed the recent floods in East African countries, underscoring the need for African leaders and government to urgently work together to confront common challenges such as climate change and other environmental issues. He extended his condolences to the government and people of Burundi, Kenya, Tanzania and Somalia, whose citizens were impacted by the recent floods. On economic relations with Burundi, the president promised to follow up on earlier discussions with Burundian President Evariste Ndayishimiye on further cooperation in the oil and gas sector. Ambassador Nduwimana had informed the president that torrential rains and rising water levels in Lake Tanganyika have affected many Burundians since the beginning of the year. He requested Nigeria's support to complement national relief efforts to assist people in the affected areas. In his interaction with the Kenyan High Commissioner, President Tinubu said Nigeria and Kenya have collaborated on a wide range of issues, including counter-terrorism, peace and security in Africa, and promise to continue to promote Africa's interests and work together to address the common issues and challenges on the continent. High Commissioner Parashina presented President William Ruto's desire for a high-level visit to further strengthen bilateral relations. He acknowledged that the two countries share challenges and opportunities such as the fight against terrorism, climate change concerns, tackling unemployment and leveraging the active youth population for economic growth. From the State House, Musbah Wahab, NTA News.
Without sentiments, the administration of President Bola Tinubu has taken off on sound footing with sustainable policies that Nigerians will be proud of in the nearest future. This is the position of Vice President Kashim Shettima as the high-level dialogue on advancing the gains made within the first year of the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu held in Abuja. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila has the story.
We are here because of our place in a world of opportunities.
This is part of the Vice President's keynote address titled Delivering the Renewed Hope Agenda through Enhanced International Cooperation, Imperatives, Opportunities and Challenges, set the tone for discussions at the forum aimed at laying the groundwork for the collaborative effort that will propel Nigeria towards a future of enriched international cooperation.
For the sake of our nation, we have in place the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund to further facilitate effective infrastructure development across the key areas of our economy. For the sake of our future, we are adjusting to the times, and that explains the adoption of CNG buses, which we are prepared to actualize in our drive for a nation that offers more benign alternative transformation channels.
The dialogue examines the work done by the administration in the past 1 year and the areas for consolidation on economic revitalization, social empowerment and infrastructural development.
I want to assure you that you will see a lot more of our work as a team as we enter this second year of the administration. We will continue to engage with Nigerians, home and abroad, regarding our work.
Our country is one of the most attractive investment destinations in Africa and projected to be the third largest national market in the world by headcount in the year 2050.
The partners we have been talking to have acknowledged the bold, courageous measures that have been undertaken by Nigeria.
Discussions focused on the international cooperation between the government, international partners and investors, as well as key deliverables of the Renewed Hope Agenda. In Abuja, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
The Conference of Speakers of State Legislature of Nigeria has expressed confidence in the current policy direction of the present administration, but however appeals to the federal and state governments to ensure that the policies are implemented in a manner that would ameliorate the hardship faced by Nigerians. This was part of the resolutions at the end of its conference in Abuja. Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports.
The meeting had in attendance 29 speakers out of 35 from the state's legislature. Deliberations focused on good governance, state police, and how to end insecurity in the country, as well as constitutional amendment processes.
The conference observed that in spite of the constitutional provisions that grants financial autonomy to the state legislature, the implementation has been observed in breach. We therefore call on the relevant stakeholders to comply with all the provisions in the constitutions and not by breach.
The National Assembly, under the leadership of Dr. Abbas, is determined to ensure that the state legislative autonomy comes to reality, and we seek your cooperation.
Chairman of the Speakers Conference, Adebowale Ogundoyin, appeals to the relevant authorities in Rivers State to explore peaceful means in addressing the impasse between legislative and executive arm of government. In Abuja, Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
And from the National Assembly comes the report that the House of Representatives is worried about how illicit drugs are sold openly, pledging legislative support to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency and the Pharmaceutical Council to close down such drug outlets. This was at an interface between the House Committee on Drugs and Narcotics and a delegation from the NDLEA. National Assembly correspondent Joshua Gunjide has the detail.
The Green Chamber seeks clarification on the report of the National Assembly on the NDLEA Amendment Bill 2024, as the bill is long overdue for presidential assent. The House resolution on Section 11 of the bill seems, however, not in consonance with that of the Senate, as members reject death penalty on offenders, while more legislations on oversight are recommended.
When the bill is different from the House and the Senate, Then there will be a conference committee between the Senate Committee, House Committee on Narcotic Drugs.
All these drugs that were seized, what happened to them? Were they destroyed?
The committee would like to know exactly the number of assets you have recovered.
What your organization is doing and to control these issues in our schools.
And we are appreciating what they are doing. But unfortunately, all what has been happening is manually.
The worst cases of drug use in Nigeria is the Southwest, with a 22.4% prevalence, just as Lagos remains the state with the highest prevalence, with 33%.
We also look at the drug demand reduction towards the prevention of drug abuse through advocacy, counseling, and treatment of drug users.
With 15,000 staff strength, the NDLEA says in the last 3 years, over 52,000 arrests have been made, with convictions of over 9,000 and confiscation of 7,500 tons, equivalent to 200 trailers of drugs worth about 1 trillion naira. From the National Assembly, Joshua Gujde, NTA News.
Still on health matters, uncontrolled blood pressure leads to hypertension and possible heart failure. To this end, medical experts advise a regular check on blood pressure, especially with regards to a recent survey which indicates that about 7 out of 100 Nigerians may be living with the ailment without knowing. Serafino Kun Unekwe reports.
Research reveals that issues of the heart and blood vessels, if left unattended to, affects other organs of the body, such as the eyes, kidneys, brain, and causes major stroke.
Complications of the condition hypertension, it's now very common. In short, it's one of the commonest presentations we have on a daily basis in most of the facilities in Abuja here now. And this is something that can be prevented.
Available data indicates that globally, more than 8 million deaths are hypertension related, and more of these in sub-Saharan Africa as a result of poor health system.
A lot of them are not even aware that they are hypertensive. Up to 75% of the population. Okay, it is not an anemia that comes with fever or significant. The commonest presentation, the person will tell you that they're having headache or they're feeling dizzy.
And so far in Abuja, about 7.5% of the populace has said to be hypertensive without even knowing their status. In Abuja, Serafina Okon Omekwe, NTA News.
Minister of Health Professor Muhammad Ali Pati has announced the signing of the West Africa RCC hosting agreements between Africa Center for Disease Control and the governments of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in Abuja. This is said has opened the way for reinforced regional support. The agreement represents a significant milestone in Africa's CDC's shared mission to enhance continental health security. The Director General Africa Center for Disease Control, Jean Kaseya, is in Abuja and has signed an MOU with the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare for the establishment of a sub-regional office for the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention in Abuja. Well, he's right here in our studio now to tell us more on this agreement. Mr. Kaseya, thank you for joining us on the news.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we want you to take us through what this means for the health security and regional collaboration as well against outbreaks and epidemics in Africa. Let us know the kind of synergy that exists between African countries and in the areas of disease control and prevention.
Yes, as you know, Africa CDC is established by head of state as the Continental Public Health Agency, and we are based in Addis Ababa. That is the where African Union has headquarters. But in each region, we have 5 regions in Africa. In each region, we have what we call the Regional Coordination Center. In West Africa, we have 15 countries, and the headquarters for the region is Abuja. And today, by signing this MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, and the host agreement with the government of Nigeria, represented by Minister Pate, we are reinforcing the role of Africa as continent to deal with all outbreaks and to prepare the next pandemic. And today we are celebrating this success because it was signed when all ministers came for this ECOWAS meeting and they were witnessing this ceremony. I think we are making huge progress in terms of health security in Africa.
Now, when we cast our minds back to the outbreak of coronavirus, it was really a sad experience for Africa. Now, what plans is Africa making for regional manufacturing of vaccines and also unlocking health sector value chains?
Thank you. Last year, I came in Nigeria. I committed as Director General of Africa CDC to make a key priority in this agenda of local manufacturing. Let me share with Nigerians today that we made huge progress, and I want to thank the government of Nigeria and under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu for supporting this agenda through the Minister of Health, Professor Pate. What did we do? In February 2023, we managed to talk about the local manufacturing, and in February 2024, we discussed with our head of state. They approved a number of decisions that are making critical change on the way we are approaching that. The first one is we created the Continental Pool Procurement Mechanism. It means all African countries under the leadership of Africa CDC can now receive product manufactured in Africa without any kind of barrier. That one is what we say, we are calling that to create the market. The second one is we are linking what we call the national regulatory authorities to assess the quality of the product. And we are also, as the third aspect, bringing a lot of financing. In June, 20th of June, we'll launch what we call the African Vaccine Manufacturing Accelerator. That is a $1 billion support to African manufacturers. It means this agenda today is really a reality, and Nigerians will start to celebrate that with all other African countries.
All right, looking at all these plans that have been put in place, how is that going to tie everything together for a more health-secure Africa? And what will be Africa's position for the forthcoming World Health Assembly coming up in Geneva, Switzerland?
Yes, we are starting the next World Health Assembly with a critical message and a critical topic, that is the pandemic agreement. As you know, in the past when we had this COVID pandemic, Africa didn't have access to any kind of medical countermeasures. And we decided to come together to discuss with other continents to see if we can have this pandemic agreement. Discussions are still ongoing. One of the critical points is sustainable financing, how to ensure that we have appropriate funding to support our pandemic response in Africa. The second one is we are talking about the local manufacturing with appropriate transfer of technology to Africa. I think today we are more confident that Africa is well placed to play that role we need to play in the global health architecture.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaseya, for that information, and we hope that in the near future, Africa will be health secure, as is the hope for everyone in Africa. We thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Now, President Bola Tinubu has called for synergy and stronger coordinated action to address economic frailties within African nations. President Tinubu made the call as he received letters of credence by some newly appointed ambassadors to Nigeria. Apologies there. We actually took that story, so we are going to take the story that is We sincerely apologize for the mix-up. We're going to take a break now. Do stay tuned for more stories. You're welcome back. President Bola Tinubu is reiterating that Nigeria is a safe hub for investments and that his administration will always provide the needed support to ensure that businesses flourish in the country. He was speaking when he received a delegation of the China Railway Construction Corporation, CRCC, led by its chairman, Dai Hejin, at the State House. President Tinubu assured the Chinese business executives that their investments in Nigeria are safe and that his government will further strengthen the business environments. The president stated that his administration welcomes the opportunity to expand business collaboration with the company as well as upgrade critical infrastructure and facilities for the mutual benefit of both parties. He promised to do everything required to ensure that the rail link between the Ibadan end of the Lagos-Ibadan Railway and the Federal Capital Territory is completed, as the hinterland and the coastal seaports within the country must be connected. The president commended the corporation, particularly its subsidiary, China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation, CCECC, for its efforts in delivering value on infrastructural projects in the country. In his remarks, the chairman of the China Railway Construction Corporation highlighted some of the projects in the works and those completed by the corporation. Mr. Hagen also said the corporation has signed investment cooperation agreements with 119 companies, stimulating investments of $3 billion and creating 4,000 direct jobs for Nigerians, as well as paying $125 million in taxes. He extended the invitation of the Chinese government to President Tinubu to attend the Forum of China-Africa Cooperation to further deepen cooperation along mutual areas of interest. Relevant ministers at the meeting briefed State House correspondents on the outcome.
One of the 8 key priority areas of this administration. And the CCEC has responded that they are going to do more in investment in agriculture, solid minerals, and other sectors of our economy.
They have integrated well into Nigerian economy. They have sponsored a university of transportation, which is shortly to be commissioned. Apart from the fact that they are capable of doing the work, we should expect financial support in various forms.
This group, they have very solid confidence in the investment drive of Mr. President and the turnaround, of the economy. And that's why they came, to show their willingness, to deepen their partnership with the Nigerian government because they believe in what Mr. President is doing.
And committing to do more in Nigeria is a testament to all Nigerians that the strategy is working, which we keep continuing to assure Nigerians that choices we make may appear difficult, but they will pay off with investor confidence, which will lead to our infrastructure development that will support continued inclusive economic growth.
Abuja, Nigeria's capital city, witnessed another significant stride in infrastructure development with the completion of the cutting-edge Salvas Oil and Gas megastation in the city. Boasting of advanced technology with focus on sustainability, management of the megastation promised to revolutionize the city's energy landscape. Ekene Ndulwe reports.
Situated strategically along Nnamdi Azikiwe Road by Mbora Sitec in Abuja, Salvas Oil and Gas Mega Fuel Station apparently casts a reflection of modernity and efficiency. Spanning a vast expanse of land, the Chief Operating Officer says the facility is designed to cater for the growing energy needs of the city's residents and commuters. At the heart of the mega fuel station lies a 1.6 million litre storage facility with 80 pump nozzles, which the management explained will reduce waiting times.
The idea and reasons behind this mega station is to
first of all, assist the government in providing employment. Secondly, to also make it easy for NNPCL in the distribution of refined products. So if this mega station was actually in operations 2 weeks ago, there wouldn't have been those harassing long queues, because we have the capacity to fuel up to 5,000 cars.
The new mega station is expected to serve as a model for sustainable and efficient fuel distribution.
With the logistics capacity that we have in both marine and trucking, and the unrelenting support that we are getting product supply from NNPCL back to back, we are poised to always have product in the station.
Sabas Oil and Gas Nigeria Limited boasts of a distribution chain comprising 5 mega stations and 82 regular filling stations across the country. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
A warehouse stocked with assorted drinks situated along Sabongari area in Minna has collapsed. Dauda Muhammad has an update on the incidents.
According to eyewitness accounts, the building collapsed at about 3:30 p.m. when a trailer was offloading drinks into the warehouse. After then, 7 people have so far been evacuated from the building, while the authorities have been on ground trying to ensure sanity in the area. Here with me is the chairman of Cheshire local government area, Aminu Ladan, that will speak more on what the authority is doing to forestall a reoccurrence of this collapse.
What is before us now is to make sure that life and the property are safe first before vector into a proper investigation.
It's a case of illegal conversion of a structure to warehouse. This structure was never approved, and you can see what is happening. It's a one-story building and quietly being converted to warehouse. So our machines are coming and we're pulling down the structure now, immediately.
That's the situation that we have for you for now at this particular site.
Thank you, Dauda. Now, the National Judicial Council has warned 3 judicial officers at both federal and state high courts and barred them from elevation to the bench of the Court of Appeal for a period. The affected judicial officers are Justice Inyang Eku of the Federal High Court Abuja Division, Justice Godwin Briki Ukolosi of High Court of Delta State, and Justice Amina Shehu of High Court of Yobe State, while Justice Eku was barred from elevation for 2 years for abuse of discretionary power of a judge through the wrong granting of an ex parte order in a matter. Justice Godwin Briki Ukolosi was barred for 3 years for his failure to deliver judgments when the stipulated period after adoption of final written addresses by counsel in the matter. The NJC has equally set up committees to investigate allegations against 8 judicial officers at the federal and state high courts. It also approved the elevation of 22 judicial officers from the high court to the bench of the Court of Appeal. In addition, the National Judicial Council appointed 64 new judicial officers for federal, state high courts, customary and Sharia Court of Appeal. The renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has trained about 100 Almajiri students in Kano on different skills to make them self-reliant. The program, supported by Sheikh Bola Ahmed Tinubu, targeted more than 1,000 beneficiaries from across the 19 northern states. Awal Salisu brings us the details.
The renewed hope feeding and skills acquisition training for the Almajiri children is one of those initiatives and interventions to make them self-reliant. Yahya Muhammad is among the beneficiaries of the pilot program that were trained in shoemaking, car wash and shampoo, among others.
This skill now we give for this program now, speak louder
then any so-called certificate you can ever mention, because now they can defend on themselves.
Our plans is to reach the 19 northern states in Nigeria. We have more than 10,000 Sangha in Nigeria. So inshallah, this is our first program. So we choose Kano to be our starting point, along with the Mr. President Renew Hope agenda.
Yahya and his likes thank the federal government for providing them with essential skills and empower them for a brighter future. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
And Vice President Kashim Shettima has inaugurated the revamped National Economic Council Human Capital Development Steering Committee to reflect the new leadership of the nation and bring all stakeholders together. State House correspondent Abdulrahman Jibrila reports that the Vice President noted the determination of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration to bolster labor force participation, even as he issued a fervent call for action.
This is another milestone that seeks to open a window of opportunity to rekindle hope for the millions of Nigerians. The burden of trust in leadership transition is the lead presentation by the Vice President at the inauguration, where he tasked the new committee of delivering tangible progress on the three core pillars of health and nutrition, education, and labor force participation. Vice President Kashim Shettima said this alignment of interest signals the approval of what human capital development sets out to accomplish: the addition of 24 million healthy, educated, and productive Nigerians to the expanding population by 2030.
While this is the take-up of the implementation pace of Nigeria's HCD program under this next dispensation, I am convinced that this high-powered steering committee will go to any length to ensure that the program is the success we all desire. The success of any nation is intricately linked to the well-being and capabilities of its citizens.
Stakeholders believe that investing in human capital remains greatest asset, and investing in its development is not only a moral responsibility but also an economic necessity.
All the decisions, all the resolutions are not only conveyed but are conceived together. So it makes it easier for us to do our bit. The executive will do its own bit, the states will do their own bit.
It is one area that every citizen, the family is involved, the community is involved, the traditional institutions need to be involved, the foundations, the corporates, and the government, obviously, and as well as our international partners.
And education, basic education, and the states will have an important role to play in terms of teacher quality, the curriculum, the textbooks, the measurement, so that children learn and have good learning outcomes. And for our youth to be skilled so that they can be able to get jobs in the economy that will be growing.
All these are part of the Tinubu administration's commitment to prioritizing preventive care, reducing child mortality, tackling malnutrition, and improving maternal health. From the State House, Abdulrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Minister of Women Affairs Uju Kennedy Ohane and the Speaker, Niger State House of Assembly Abdul Malik Sarkindaji, have agreed to sustain a cordial relationship and empower the 100 orphans earlier proposed for mass wedding. Ngozi Technical reports that the minister said this while briefing newsmen after meeting with the Speaker and some traditional rulers from the state here in Abuja.
This full agreement was facilitated by the Emir of Gotangora, who, alongside the Speaker of Niger State House of Assembly, Abdul Malik Sarkindaji, and other personalities, paid the minister a visit. The minister stated that with the explanations given by the Speaker, there is better understanding between them, as they will now collaborate to gainfully empower the women and other members of the community.
If there are some of them that want to go back to school, you're helping me to reform them. They are my children. Some of them are my sisters. I'll be much more happier.
I expected there is a communication gap. And even that you people meet, two of you met and discussed, I believe Minister will give her own contribution and she will give her support.
Though I've gotten an injunction, I have to secure my children in case anybody goes behind my back to do anything. If you try to suffocate my children, or you try to deprive them from breathing, and they call on me, I will turn a mother hen, and I will come after that person.
The minister, however, stated that she will hold on to the court injunction should they go ahead with the wedding. Ngozi Teknikyo, NTA News.
Network News continues with Adeola in our Lagos studio. Hello, Adeola.
Hello, Lami. Good to see you. Nigeria's quest to fully harness potential of the blue economy is now gaining mileage with the mapping out of the ocean to ascertain its fish stock and quality research to put the country in an advantage position in the global fish production. Minister of Marine and Blue Economy Boyega Oyetola, while on a working visit to the Nigeria Institute for Oceanography and Marine Research, which is now under the ministry, lauded the contributions of the institute, especially in the area of capacity building and reduction of fish importation. Joel Popola has the report.
Nigeria's maritime domain has been boosted with additional nautical miles, and the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy is galvanizing efforts of all relevant stakeholders to maximize this gain. A key component that will propel the blue economy is the Nigerian Institute for Oceanography and Marine Research, an agency in the forefront of thinking outside the box in scientific research. Minister of Marine and Blue Economy Boyega Oyetola described NIUMA, now part of his ministry, as very germane to the blue economy, urging the institute to redouble their efforts in realizing the vision of the present administration for the blue economy.
And I'm impressed with what I've seen in terms of what they've been able to do to be able to advance the fish technology, continue to collaborate with to ensure that we're able to harness the resources.
Briefing the minister of the giant stride of the institute, founded in 1975, the executive director, executive officer of the agency, and other stakeholders say the successes recorded in the area of training and research cannot be overemphasized.
If we check the statistics, Nigeria in the area of aquaculture, when we're doing 650, it has gone to plus 800 metric tons. With the present drive of manpower development in the area of food security, we are going to do more.
The minister also engaged staff of the Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture, where he reminded them that it will no longer be business as usual. The fish laboratory is a rare feat that the ministry will also leverage on, while service will be improved upon. In Lagos, Joel Popola, NTA News.
And that's all from Lagos. We'll take another break and join Benny Adams for business news. Stay with us.
Now talking business, in response to the directives from Office of the National Security Advisor and the Securities and Exchange Commission that the Naira be delisted from peer-to-peer trading platforms, the exchanges have begun implementation. Checks reveal that the Naira has been removed as a fiat currency option for transactions on KuCoin platform, and the exchange has already begun necessary adjustments to its technology to accommodate the delisting of the Naira as soon as practicable. Acting Director General of the SEC, Dr. Emomotimi Agama, says the removal of the Naira from the platforms limits our ability to manipulate the exchange rate against the Nigerian currency, and the move is expected to further strengthen the value of the Naira. And a quick look at the markets. At the end of last week of trading on the exchange, a total of 140.7 million shares in 6,934 deals, corresponding to a market value of 9.4 billion naira, were traded. Today's data shows 52% decline in volume, 25% improvement in turnover, but 5% decline in deals. The current market's capitalization is 55.5 trillion naira. On the aggregate, 124 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 15 gainers and 24 losers. Access Holdings recorded the highest volume of traded shares, followed by Guarantee Trust Holdings and United Bank for Africa. Well, that is business news. The news continues, but after this break.
Welcome back. Taiwanese lawmakers clash over parliament reforms, calling for greater scrutiny of the government, and International Monetary Fund Communications Director Julie Kozak criticizes U.S. decision to impose more tariffs on Chinese imports. Details of these and more with Kolo Mohammed.
Taiwan's parliament descended into a brawl on Friday, just days before the inauguration of Lai Ching-te, the new president. Politicians pushed, hit and tackled each other after tempers became heated in a bitter dispute about parliament. The argument broke out over a push by the main opposition party, Kuomintang KMT, and its allies to give parliament greater powers of scrutiny over the government. In other news, International Monetary Fund Communications Director Julie Kozak has criticized the U.S. decision to impose more tariffs on Chinese imports. At a press conference in Washington, she said this kind of actions can be very costly for the global economy, adding that IMF is of the view that the U.S. will be better served by maintaining open trade policies that have been vital to its economic performance.
These kinds of restrictions can distort trade and investment. They can fragment the global economy and supply chains and trigger retaliatory actions.
And hundreds of people living near eruption of volcano in eastern Indonesia have been evacuated after authorities raised the alert to the highest level. Evacuees continue to arrive at shelters since the first eruption on Thursday all through early Friday, when the second eruption occurred on the same Mount Aibu. Kolo Muhammad, NTA News.
Nigerians have been charged to remain hopeful for better things and not to be discouraged by temporary setbacks. The Catholic Archbishop of the Metropolitan See of Lagos, Most Reverend Alfred Adewale Martins, said this at the 10th Memorial Mass for late Right Reverend Monsignor Pedro Ayodele Martins. Diana Ajale reports.
After 10 years of his transition to glory, the memory and legacies late Right Reverend Monsignor Pedro Ayodele Martins left behind lives on. This was evident as spiritual children, family members, and friends from far and near joined worshippers of St. Charles Borromeo Catholic Church, Lagos, for a special Thanksgiving Mass in appreciation to God. He was described as a man fully committed to the service of God and humanity.
Through Baba, we learn not only to be generous, but also the higher virtue of thoughtfulness.
He has laid out the roadmap for us to follow, and we are still following it.
Most of the things that were done here during those days we were here as a teenager, I still retain them up to this point of my life.
Prayers were offered at the graveside for the repose of his soul at the Ikoyi Vaults and Gardens, with the laying of risk by some priests displaying their unwavering love for Monsignor Pedro Martins.
For we citizens of the nation to ensure that we do not become part of the problems of the country.
Born in Lagos, November 16, 1910, into a Catholic family of Marcelino Martins, late Right Reverend Pedro Ayodele Martins attended several missionary schools, home and abroad. After his education in 1950, Pedro Ayodele Martins was among the first 11 indigenous Nigerian priests and the first Lagos man to be ordained a priest. He was made Monsignor in 1970. In his pastoral ministry, late Right Reverend Pedro Martins served in different states. He was chaplain of the Nigerian contingent to the United Nations Peacekeeping Mission in Congo in 1960 and the first Catholic chaplain of the Nigerian Army. He died as the oldest living Catholic cleric in Africa. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
And that's it on the news for today. We thank you for watching. I'm Lami Ali.